Hey, how you guys doing? I'm USMC Doc 14 from Pirate4x4.com and JKOwners.com. What I'm doing today is a product review and a little more with the flexible fenders for the Jeep JK offered by Modern Classic Enterprises. Now, one of the things you run into when you start modifying your Jeep is fender coverage, or the limitations of the factory fenders. And we're going to be covering a bunch of that stuff and also auto body, because some of you guys requested it, in this video. So, let us start. Okay, well, first thing, let's cover some of the obvious things about these fenders. Here's one of the front fenders lying on the ground. MCE, what they do is they've made their own flexible fenders. It's a thermal molded plastic. It's got a nice little texture. They also offer it in different finishes. This is just the plain black. The reason why I got the plain black is later on in this video I'm going to show you guys how to do paint, because I'm going to paint these to match my JK. Just like a lot of people do on their Saharas. Now, this is a factory JK. This is my wife's Jeep. Now, she doesn't off-road it, so she has no real need to start hacking and cutting into her fenders. But when you start off-roading, what you're going to do is you're going to drive the top of your tire up into the fender, okay? And what a lot of guys are doing is they're just flat fendering it, and they cut straight across here and all the way back. And it does take a steady hand in order for it to look good, okay? Which I have no problems with. It's just some people want a different look. Now, in the process, you are going to lose your marker light. Some people mount them up under here, and I'll cover that more when I get to my JK, because there's state-specific guidelines you need to pay attention to. But the major thing is, the problem with the factory JK fenders, I mean, besides they get this, gray color when your wife is too lazy to come out here and, put some armor all on the bad boys, and I'm probably going to get smacked for that later, is they detach very easy. If you've ever noticed, when you run into something with the factory fenders, they will pop right off, okay? And the tire coverage is kind of lackluster. I mean, she's got a few inches sticking out here, but it's no big deal. Now, we got the flexible fenders from Modern Classic Enterprises. Has a nice contoured line, nice smooth radius, and it is much higher cut, okay? And you get a little bit more. It's not a whole lot, but you get, well, actually it is a whole lot. You do get a decent amount, probably about an inch more coverage on these, but they're a lot more rigid, because once you go and you cut, flat things don't have strength, okay? When you go and you cut a plastic panel flat, like when you go and you cut this here, and there's no real down lip, it gets real flimsy and flexible. Then the fact that, like I said, they rip off, okay? I forgot how many times that I've ripped off my back fenders just from stuffing the tires into it. Now, the good thing is, the MCE flexible fenders have a nice line. They follow pretty much the, traditional contours of the Jeep JK. Okay, now we get into my JK, which is an entirely different ball of wax from my wife's JK. Mine does minor daily driving duty, but it also does off-road stupidity. So, I do need high-line cut fenders so that it's not limiting my up travel. It also allows me to set up my suspension correctly and, set my bump stops and all that. Now, currently, I am running River Raider off-road tube fenders. Now, I cannot say enough good things about River Raider Off-Road or their products or the dude who runs it, okay? Kenny is a great guy, and his product support is phenomenal. The only reason, and I mean the only reason why I'm removing these fenders off and going with the MCE fenders is weight. That's it. Those of you who have followed my build-up know that my JK, full cage, I'm running, recentered Humvee bead locks, the whole 9 yards. So my JK is she's a fat pig, okay? And she needs to go on a diet. And hopefully I will be losing a lot of weight by swapping them over to these. These ones, by my highly technical bathroom scale measurement, for the entire set of 4, weigh about 12 pounds, okay? Like I said, I'll probably get corrected by the company, but 12 pounds by bathroom scale. The River Raider off-road fenders I'll post up in the comment section later. because as you can see, they're on right now. Now, the other thing that people worry about with running an all-metal fender like this is body damage. Now, I have rubbed these up against trees. There's some scars over there and some scars on my rear ones. Yeah, if you whack it hard enough, you are going to bend this sheet metal, okay? But you really have to whack it. These, on the other hand, yeah, they're flexible. And they're designed to be flexible. They're not designed to pop off like the factory JK flares. They're designed to flex and move and then pop back into place. And that's the properties of this thermoplastic to do that. And even if you wrinkle them up, they have a memory where they can be sort of reset back. Now, if you look at my fenders, okay, they're nice and shiny on the tops and matched body color, because I like my stuff to be shiny and look good and stuff. So that's the primary thing for these videos is I get asked, okay, how did you get them to look like that? Well, I'm going to show you guys how to do paint. Okay, real simple, basic, down to dirty, color match paint job on your Jeeps. Okay. Now for coverage, the River Raider fenders, I mean, I got some tires sticking out of there. The MCE fenders, sorry about that. I keep on forgetting that the camera needs to get held at one angle, not multi-angles. It doesn't auto-rotate. I'm actually going to be getting a little bit more coverage with running these flexible fenders. And the good thing is the lines, sorry about that. Yeah, just a little bit extra coverage, probably about a ½ inch in the front. But the good thing is the lines look good. Okay, they nice match. They have a nice radius here that comes around. The other good thing about this is this little surface area here is where I'm going to have to mount my side marker light. This is all state-specific stuff. Okay, some states are going to give you more of a hassle on certain items than other states, especially when it comes to tire coverage and especially when it comes to marker lights. Now, my marker lights were originally mounted under here, up on the radiator support, and they were there for about 5 years. And then all of a sudden, state of Virginia in their inspection decided that that was an inadequate place, and I had to go and move them out to here. Okay, whatever, you know, it's so I can get my happy sticker, that's all cool. But the good thing is, these easily install in here, and MCE carries them. They're just a little round LED with a little grommet, and all you do is drill a simple little hole, run them through, some simple wiring. I would recommend that you don't completely hardwire it in place and actually put a 2-ply plug on it. So if you do manage to rip your fenders off, or you need to remove them for whatever reason, you can just unplug the light and take them off. But it's just little nitpicking details. To be honest, I'm kind of running out of things to say about these fenders. They're a nice, simple, clean product. These ones, the ones that I got, have this, this pebble grain finish on them. They also sell them in like a faux carbon fiber, and personal preference, but they're all paintable with some minor prep and traditional painting techniques. And that's what we're going to cover next, okay? Now, all of these products are what you're going to need, okay? And they're locally available and easy to source. First thing you need is what color do you want to lay down, okay? I went and got mine this is from automotivetouchuppaint.com, okay? This is the color code for my Jeep JK. The color's pretty accurate. I mean, it's pretty balls on. So I've had no problems using their product to match my stuff. They also offered this in a spray can. The color was okay. The problem with it is, see, once you get into metallic finishes have to get laid certain ways, and we'll cover that when I'm doing them, or else they look funny. But the spray can, I don't like spray cans for that purpose. Okay, I'd rather just go and do this and spray it myself. But if you don't want to go and use sprayers, or you don't have the access to an air compressor, you can get this in a spray can. Okay, the next thing is your clear. Okay, went over to Napa and got some clear. Now, you can get one-shot clear. Like, you can get lacquer clear and stuff like that. Lacquer clear is okay. Me, I'd rather go and spend the effort, get a 2-part epoxy clear with a hardener. Your finish is going to be a lot better and a lot easier to work with, especially if you're doing like big flat panels where you're going to need to be color sanding afterwards. Like, okay, if you notice the side of my Jeep, come on, focus. Actually, it is so shiny that it won't. There we go. If you notice, the side of my Jeep is like a perfect little mirror. That's because that is all color sanded. Now, the thing is, I actually have graphics that I've gone and painted all into my sides, okay? So little skulls and shit. Yeah, that's right, I'm hardcore. Okay, to be honest, the skulls are so that I can fade it to black on the bottom where I touch it up with Krylon when I chew up this and the rock rails, okay? Because luckily this doesn't ever get hit by anything. But this is what you can do with, you know, the two-part epoxy. You can get this nice color sanded, perfect, no orange peel finish. Lacquer takes a little bit more talent to be able to pull off. The main thing to do is, you know, with your clear, pick out your clear. Make sure that your hardener is the correct hardener for the temperature you're going to be spraying in. Okay, if you notice, this is, go on, focus. There we go. This is slow hardener. I'm going to be spraying this, and it's going to be probably about 70 or 80 degrees out, okay? That's why I'm running a slow hardener. Go and do your research, contact the company to find out what temperature range, what speed hardener works for what you're going to be doing. Next thing, I'm painting on plastic, okay? So I need an adhesion promoter, okay? This is the first thing that gets sprayed. Yeah, I cheated. I got it in a rattle can. It works fine. It does. It seriously works fine from a rattle can, okay? The next thing is you're going to need a primer. Now, your color of your primer affects the color of your paint every damn time. So the best thing to do is go in an inconspicuous place in your Jeep, okay, like inside the, you know, like inside on the body or whatever, and scrape away the paint a little bit till you get to the primer. See what color your base coat primer is. With this greenish color that the Jeep came in, this dark green, the primer color is a light gray. So that means when I lay my color over the light gray, it should match right. Like I said, the color of your primer affects your overall color. Try to match it up. You can also do test shots and stuff like that. Now, you can get primer, you can get epoxy primer, the same as like this, where it's two-part. I'm kind of cheating. The reason why I'm cheating is the MCE fenders, okay, they have that pebble finish to them. So I'm not really worried about a perfectly perfect immaculate finish, because the pebble finish already makes it so that I can't color sand that out. So I'm not really that concerned. But so I'm going with just, you know, the regular rattle can. But you can do regular rattle can, okay? And you can get the, you know, sandable primer where you spray it, and then after it dries you can sand it so you get a nice perfect finish. But either way, you're going to need a primer. So, and of course, lastly is you need an energy drink. You know, pick out your flavor. I need to really get fucking sponsored by those bastards, okay? You see that, guys, right? Your label's not shown because you're not sponsoring me. Send me some damn product, I'll show you in my videos. So, what we're going to do now is, I'm going to go and show you the prep. Oh yeah, the other little things you're going to need. Now, if you're doing, you know, high gloss finish, you know, on a smooth surface, you're going to need all the sanding stuff that goes with that, okay? All the different grades of sandpaper. I'm not going to be covering that in. That's actually almost an art form of learning how to do color sanding. You can do that research on your own, do some, you know, look up some videos, figure it out. But what you're also going to need is you're going to need some solvents. You're going to need solvents for degreasing your fenders, okay, and also solvents for cleaning whatever equipment you're going to be using on this. Find what works for what product, okay? They usually recommend you know, a solvent on the back. It'll be xylene, or it'll be lacquer thinner, or it'll be acetone. Acetone does work very well for degreasing 90% of most stuff, but it is not a good solvent for for certain epoxy finishes. And that's where you need to do your homework, is, you know, actually look at the company and be like, just call them up. You know, hey, what do you recommend for thinning your stuff? Anyway, let's get on to the prep and the paint. Okay, now time for the next step, which is painting. Now, the reason why you're getting this wonderful view of my face is something that's kind of an important feature that people forget. Personal protective equipment, okay? When you're spraying paint, especially when you're spraying epoxies, you want to have some sort of filter. I mean, unless you really appreciate, you know, picking epoxy paint boogers out of your nose, which is not fun, okay? I'm spraying in an open garage, okay? I don't have it sealed up. If I was in a sealed garage or in a downdraft booth, I'd have an entirely different particulate filter on me because the higher the concentration, you need specialized filters. But at the minimum, okay, wear a fucking, a dust mask or some shit. You really don't want to be inhaling this crap. Now, on to what I'm doing here. Now, what I've done, as you can see, is in my immaculately blue tarped garage, okay, I've gone and I've used the existing holes to go and hold the fenders in place. Now, the reason why I did this is, one, it makes them easier to paint. Two, like I was saying before, is that metallic paints change color depending on how they're sprayed. They're affected by gravity. The little metal flakes will actually align, sorry, out of focus, there we go. The little metal flakes will actually align and fall differently depending on how they're sprayed. So any sort of metal flake that you spray, you want to go and make sure that, it's laying the same exact way as it's going to sit on the vehicle. So hoods get sprayed flat, doors get sprayed friggin' vertically. Because if you don't, your color's going to do weird stuff. Okay, now what I wanted to demonstrate for you guys, these have already been prepped. What I did is I scuffed them up with a Scotch-Brite pad, okay? They're plastic, so don't get really aggressive with the scuffing, because then you end up with little fur balls of plastic, which become a pain in the ass to get rid of. Actually, the easiest way to get rid of them is with a propane torch. You just go and you melt them back down with a real quick hit. But these have been scuffed up with a Scotch-Brite pad, and then after that I wiped them down with some lacquer thinner to get any of the oils and greases off of it. Okay, your hands have oils. Those oils are going to make it so that applying paint is going to suck and it's going to do weird stuff, okay? So clean them off. Everything in here you want to be clean, okay? Trust me on that. If you're not clean, it's going to go and it's going to cause all sorts of suck and your finish is going to come out like crap. Now, the next thing is, these have also been sprayed with the adhesion promoter. Now, the reason why I didn't show you doing the adhesion promoter, sorry, let me adjust this. The reason why I didn't show you the adhesion promoter is because it's clear and it doesn't really demonstrate well on camera. What I'm going to show you is the proper technique for spraying from either a spray can, okay, or a spray gun. Now, if you're doing it from a spray can, it's fine. If you're doing it from a spray gun, that's fine, it's too. My primer, as you remember, okay, is in a spray can. So, the trick to spray cans and spray guns is you start moving, then you start spraying, then you stop spraying, then you stop moving. So, it would be like this. Move, spray, stop spraying, keep moving. Now, you're going to actually do it faster than that, okay? So, let me go and see, I want to be careful here because I'm actually viewing this through the viewfinder. So, this is my primer. It's a light gray primer. So what I'm going to do is, okay, you notice how I went and started and kept moving. Because if you go and you spray and then stop, and I'll demonstrate here, okay, you're going to go and spray. You get, notice how it's heavier, well, this end's obvious. Notice how it's heavier thickness here than it is there. You got to keep moving, okay? So it's move, spray, stop spraying, keep moving. Also, overlap your patterns so that you get nice coverage. So, notice, okay? And because these have a wrinkled finish, okay, let me zoom in on that real quick. Okay, these have a textured finish to them. You're going to want to spray them from different directions. Because if not, what happens is you're spraying this way, okay, it's going to catch on that side of the bump, but it's going to get masked from the other side of the bump. So I'm going to spray from one direction, then I'm going to go around, spray from the other direction. Like I said, I jigged these up. This makes spraying them a lot easier with it jigged up like this. Because, they're literally set up as the fender, and I can spray, and they don't go anywhere. I'm not touching them, and I just use the existing holes that were already in there, and some wood screws, and then I screwed it to the board so that they don't move at all. So I can spray them completely here, and they're going to stay as good. So let me go and primer these. Okay. Now, like I said, my step was scuff them. Okay, using a Scotch-Brite pad. Clean them off really good with a solvent. Okay. Do not touch them, okay, with your bare hands ever again until you're done. Clean them off really good. Spray them with the adhesion promoter, okay. Now I'm laying down my primer. Once I lay down my primer, then I'll get into my base color, then my clear coat. And when it gets to the base color and the clear coat, I'll show you how I'm going to do that, and I'll show you the basics, and I do mean the very basics of using a paint gun. Okay guys, now we're going to be starting to lay down some damn color. Okay, now if you're using a spray can, regular rattle can, don't worry about this part. You can skip over it. Okay, this is for if you're going to be using, traditional paint sprayers. Now, one thing though that I wanted to show you, if I can remember where I put the spray can, there we go, is some spray cans are set up to be sort of ghetto paint sprayers. The front nozzle on this one, for example, if you notice a little red square on that, which you probably won't focus into. Yeah, it's not going to go. Anyway, the red square is actually rotatable. So what happens is it changes the direction of the direction of the fan of paint. So with its current orientation, when I spray it, it's going to throw a fan of paint vertically. Okay, if I go and I rotate this 90 degrees, it's going to throw a fan of paint horizontal. This comes into play with what direction your strokes for painting are. If I'm going left to right, I want a vertical fan. If I'm going up and down, I want a horizontal fan. This way you're not laying down a heavy-ass coverage of paint in a straight line. You want the fan to move down, not big, heavy glob. So you can actually get pretty decent finish depending on what the spray nozzle is. And believe it or not, you can actually go online and order replacement nozzles that are of better quality than what come on your traditional spray cans. Now, for those guys that are going to be using an automotive type sprayer, the two most common ones that people buy their first time out, okay, like I said, guys, this is basic automotive refinishing. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of information out there, and there's much better equipment. But what I'm covering is the basics. Okay, when people go and they start off and they just want to do some clear coat and get some rough paint down, the two most common sprayers they buy are from Harbor Freight. Okay, hate to say it. They either get this one, which is a detail sprayer or a door jam sprayer, or they get this one, which is the most inexpensive high volume, low pressure sprayer. Yeah, they're cheap guns, okay? But at the same time, you got to start somewhere. You got to learn somehow. The basic controls of these are about the same, even though they work similar functions, okay? The door jam sprayer is not really a high volume, low pressure. It's pretty much a medium volume, medium pressure. High volume, low pressure means it's going to put out more paint per air. Either way, you're going to need an air compressor. And you're also going to need a regulator, okay, which is this little bastard. And you're also going to need a water trap, okay, because you don't want to spray water through your gun, especially if you're like me and you're in Virginia. Right now it's getting kind of humid, and your air compressor is going to kick up humidity. I have actually multiple water filters on mine, and I have one that's permanently attached to whatever line I'm using for paint spraying to make sure that there's no moisture getting in the system. This one, of course, got an additional regulator on here, but whatever. You need to have a regulator, okay? Even if it's a cheap regulator. You also need to have a cheap filter, even if it's one of the cheap inline filters. Not taking care of those two things will completely screw up your entire effort of painting. Now, the controls on these are pretty much the same. You have your triggers, okay? And that's how they work. But what it is the triggers are in different. The triggers are in stages. When you go and you first start pulling, it's going to release air. As you pull more, it pulls back the needle in the gun, releasing paint into the airstream. The further you pull it back, the more paint gets released into the airstream, hence a heavier coat. So you can actually feather how much paint is coming out depending on how far back you pull the trigger. But you need to set it first, okay? And some people just set it at 0 and just, full wide open. Go and try to set your mid stroke, okay? And what you'll do is you adjust your go and look at your paint, okay? Sometimes your paints have recommendations. Go and look at the owner's manual for it. Some of them have recommended PSI. Start in the middle. Always start in the middle of everything. And if you notice that paint is doing one thing or another, then you can start changing it. Now, your paint thickness, I'm getting, for this specific purpose, I'm getting pre-mixed, pre-thinned, ready to spray stuff. This is already the right thickness. Because paint actually is going to have to be thinned down in order to get sprayed out of the gun. And you'll notice that. And you have to thin it correctly. If you thin it with the incorrect thinner, it's going to affect, it's not only going to affect the color, but it actually might even affect the density and everything else in there and come out really friggin' weird. So pay attention to what your paint requirements are. When you start, I set my needle for just about the mid stroke to almost to the maximum stroke. So if I do need to put down a heavier pattern, I still have a little bit more trigger to go, and I can put down more paint. And what I'll do is you just go and put some paint in, hook it up to your compressor, and do some practice. Practice first with like some thinner or some water, okay? So you're not wasting your expensive paint, but it also gives you an idea of what the fan looks like. If you go and you spray paint, I usually use the back of my gloves, and I'll do a test pattern. If it sprays and it's really dry, you're getting too much air and not enough paint. If you're spraying it and it's really friggin' wet, okay, you might be getting too much paint and not enough air. The problem with that is you're going to get runs. So you need to get this happy medium. You don't want the paint to dry in the air and then contact, because you get dusting. And that's going to cause all sorts of issues later on. You want it to go on wet and then gradually evaporate off. And you want to give the paint time to do what it's supposed to do. With the paint with a base coat, you got some leeway. When it gets into clear coat is when you'll notice that if you're putting it on too wet, you will get drips. Don't freak the fuck out, okay? There is many ways to unfuck paint, okay? There's certain things you can't unfuck, but drips, you can unfuck drips, okay? They can be nibbed off, and they can be sanded and buffed, and they can be perfectly normal. The things you want to pay attention to is being clean, okay? Gloves. I'm not touching anything anymore. We do a lot of, in automotive, like especially with building Jeeps and shit like that, we use a lot of sanding. We use a lot of abrasives. We use, 4.5-inch grinder. Silicone, okay, is in 90% of the abrasive we do, and it gets airborne, and it touches everything. Airborne silicone, when it gets on the stuff you're trying to spray, will cause fish eyes, okay? Fish eyes you can't unfuck easy. Basically what it is literally a pit where you have the base coat, and then the clear coat stops. It doesn't even touch that area. And you're going to need to use either fisheye remover, or you're going to have to clean your shit, okay? But that's if you get fish eyes. Trust me, they'll be obvious if you get them. Everything else, runs, drips, okay, don't stress it. You can fix that, okay? When it's hardened, you can go and you can use a razor blade, or you can use a shaving nib, and you can scrape it off, and then you can color sand it and buff it out, and you will never, ever see it. When you go and you color sand, wet sand, clear coat, you're doing that anyway. You're getting rid of the orange peel, the little ripply finish, okay? That's on 90% of most factory paint jobs. So don't stress it, okay? Go and have fun. Another option is go and get some cheap enamel paint and start screwing around with it. Practice with it, okay? Practice cutting it down, seeing what it's going to take to spray. One of the most important things that you will have to buy is buy some damn filters, okay? This will kill your gun. You can also get, what the hell is it called? you can get a viscosity tube, okay, or a viscosity measurer. Most auto body paint places, and I think even Harbor Freight sells viscosity measurers, and it'll tell you if your paint is diluted to the correct portion. Basically, you pull it up and you count. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and I'm going to start laying down my clear coat, and it's going to be kind of hard to do the video while I'm doing it, but I'm going to see if I can pull some shit off. Okay. Okay guys, I'm going to try to demonstrate this, but I can't exactly guarantee exactly how well it's going to come out. So bear with me, okay? So what I'm doing is, like I said, I'm going to start my stroke, spray, stop my spraying, stop my stroke, okay? See how I got the nice green laid down? I'm going to keep doing this over and over again, but see if my fuck up there is because I didn't move in a smooth arc. You want to go in a nice smooth, straight line when you're doing it. And by the way, when I'm changing my direction of spray, I'm actually changing my nozzle direction so that if I'm moving left to right, my spray fan is horizontal, vertical, and if I'm moving up and down, my fan is horizontal. But like I said, it's just go to town and start spraying. I mean, I already did these sections, okay, and now I'm going to do the tops. Okay, boys and girls, I have laid down my base coat before my clear. If you notice that it's got this uniform dull finish, okay, same with over there. Not worried about that bottom section because it's going to be hidden by the fender anyway. So, yeah, on the inside, I'm not really concerned about that. But I'm mainly concerned about it being a uniform sheen all the way across, okay, nice even spray, no weird hash marks, no funky shit going on. And it's, if you notice, it's dull, it's not glossy. A two-part, okay, you know, a typical automotive paint is done, you know, the base, which is not glossy, and then a clear over it. And that's what gives you your little happy shimmer and pop. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit. You got to wait for, like I said, read the back of your paints. It'll say how much time you need to let it sit for. So I'm going to let this sit for about 15-20 minutes or until it's all nice and, you know, that matte finish. Then I will go and I'll mix up my clear, spray that. Okay guys, now I'm getting ready to spray some damn clear, and as you can see, okay, the back of the clear is very nice and tells you exactly how to do this. Okay, from the mixing, it's an epoxy. 4 parts of this number to 1 part of this number. Okay, these are the three different quicknesses for the hardener. Okay, so you mix 4 parts of this to 1 part of this, and you put it in the gun, and that's about it. Okay, so now time for me to spray some clear because, well, come over here and do some focus. Okay, I laid down my base coat. Come on, focus. I also did my little cool guy fucking skull fade motherfucking shit. By the way, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but it's not hard, okay? And time to clear coat it. Clear coating it is exactly the same as spraying the base coat. Nice smooth strokes, lay it down. You want to do multiple light coats, not one big ass heavy coat. So let me spray it and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, well boys and girls, I finished applying the clear coat. As you can see, it's all nice and shiny now. Okay, and you can see the reflections off there. Okay, and the reflections off there. Look at that. Ooh, glossy. Okay, now this step, what I'm doing is I'm leaving it the hell alone, okay? That's an important step for you to do, is leave things alone. Don't poke at it, don't touch it, leave it alone. I'm not going to go and screw with these for a day or so I can make sure that the clear coat sets. Once the clear coat is all happy and stuff, and I feel confident that, you know, it's solid enough for me to manhandle them, I'll go and I'll install them in the JK, and I'll take some pictures and also finish up the video. And here we go, boys and girls, all nice and finished. And as you can see, it's nice and shiny and perfectly color matched. And if I wanted to run them black, depending on your vehicle, if it complements it or not, you could do that as well. And total investment for color matching them was like 80 bucks, and I have a bunch of leftover product should I ever want to, you know, paint something else. I mean, I could have gone and just gotten enough just to do the fenders, but you might as well play it safe and have enough surplus so that if you do screw up and you have to strip it down, you could start over again. The installation was retardedly simple. Even if I still had a factory Jeep and was using their installation technique for for a factory one, it really wouldn't have taken any more time. I mean, it's mostly self-tapping screws and a couple of bolts, and it's nice and clean. Lots of fender clearance. I'll get my coil springs will bind up before my tires will touch up into there, and if they don't, then you install bump stops. By the way, bump stops are kind of an important item in an off-road vehicle. You want to control the upper and lower limits of what your suspension does. Here's the rear, and as you can see, ooh, look at that. Got my little skulls and stuff, and it's all perfectly blending into the other paint job, and it's shiny and happy. Oh yeah, I went and I weighed the River Raider off-road fenders, and like I said before, I absolutely love them, but I'm putting my JK on a diet. And the River Raider fenders were 86 pounds for all four. These were 12, okay? That is 74 pounds of weight that I removed off my Jeep. So, well, that's about it for today. Just wanted to show you guys that yes, you can do your own color matching and you can do your own paint and refinishing, and it's not that hard. And these are my new fenders from Modern Classic Enterprises, and you guys have a good day. Thanks.